Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. Hey man, how the hell you doing? I've been just fine living life with the noose, and in my mind all I hear is music. Watching your mouth move, damn you look stupid. I feel like
Hi everyone, I've been going back and forth with this YouTuber named The Queens with a Z. She's a flat earther, and I've debated a lot of flat earthers in my life, but this lady, she could win some awards for Dunning-Kruger. She recently posted a video arguing that Globers get it wrong and north is not a direction, but it's up, as in the opposite of gravity up, as in the increasing elevation up. This is just one of many nonsensical things that she said, but this video was kind of short, and this one stood out to me the most, so I really wanted to give a response to it. I'm going to jump right in. I'm just going to go through her video as quickly as I can and try to give intellectually honest responses. That's kind of hard to do. You're going to see why, so here we go.
Today, I will be addressing one of the things that globe earthers continuously get incorrect. Somehow, they want to believe that north is not up, and north is up, and I'm going to tell you why.
No, she won't be telling us why. At least I don't think so. But we are going to try to go through our argument with an open mind. Before doing so, I think it's important to point out exactly what an argument is. An argument requires premises and conclusions. For example, premise 1, Mike is a human. Premise 2, all humans are mortal. Conclusion, Mike is mortal. Obviously, there's some derivatives of that, and I'm not going to go into validity versus soundness right now, as I don't think Queens appears to even understand the basic concept of the content of an argument. But let's go ahead and move on and see what else she has to say.
The celestial north to me is any point in the sky from anywhere.
No, it's not any point in the sky from anywhere. That doesn't make sense. It's the point above the axis of Earth's rotation.
We are operating on a horizontal plane when you believe in allegedly the flat earth.
Horizontal to what? If the Earth is a plane, what is it horizontal to?
We know that it's not exactly flat because it has natural elevations such as mountains, volcanoes, hills, etc. But the base point of it is a plane.
Like a lot of what she says, this is, for the most part, gibberish, or at the very least a non sequitur. No one claims that flat earthers believe that the surface of the Earth is literally flat. That would mean there's no such thing as mountains and valleys. That's kind of ridiculous. Honestly, I think she's just stating the obvious in an effort to sound smart.
As I spoke about today in my documentary, so therefore the baseline is level. So any point in the sky from anywhere north in that regard is up.
Okay, so she doesn't know what a documentary is, but if anybody wants to go and watch her documentary, feel free. I think it's like 2 hours long. I might even go back and do a response, but it'll take a while. But the other thing is, level to what? The baseline is level. Like, again, level to what? If you believe the Earth is flat and you're saying it's level to what? And then she says north in that regard. Regard to what? I'm really not entirely sure what she's talking about. She's not really articulating her point as clearly as she thinks she is.
Contrary to your beliefs, the geographical north and its geographical territories, such as countries, islands, etc., can be plotted, just like I plotted them in one of my last videos.
Geographical north and its geographical territory. What does that even mean? What is the geographical territory of the geographical north? All geography on the planet has a north. And I'm really confused as to how do we go from understanding exactly what north is, which is what her main point is supposed to be, to plotting geographical territory.
The North Star is only an arbitrary north and not an absolute, because it is not the North Star as far as north cardinal directions go to the people in the South. Because if it was, it would sit above the equator instead of the North Pole.
Wow, she really loves to say things without actually understanding what they mean. While the star that is the North Star changes due to axial wobble, what defines the North Star is non-arbitrary. The North Star is a star that is at or closest to the axis of rotation in the northern hemisphere. That is the definition. It's not arbitrary, and it is demonstrable. Go out on a clear night in the northern hemisphere, take your camera, do a long exposure, and look for the star that you see a streak going around and has no real streak of its own. This star happens to be Polaris. This test is repeatable, and anyone within the same era is going to get the same results. That is not arbitrary. Just because somebody on the southern hemisphere can't see the North Star, which makes perfect sense in the globe model, does not suddenly make it not the North Star. This is absolutely nonsensical. The globe model does not predict this, nor does it imply it. If the star was above the equator, then it's not the North Star.
So you have to determine the North Star's north, and north, as in on the equator, are two separate things. The North Star is an arbitrary north and not an absolute, meaning that it appears to be centered and visible, but only to the observers within that geographical area. Remember, we are standing on a stationary horizontal plane.
This is just more word salad. I actually have to think here. You have to determine the North Star's north, and north as in on the equator. That makes no sense. North, it's a beacon, it's a point. Regardless of where you are on the globe, if you are facing north, you are pointed towards the same thing. She speaks, but she says nothing. And as I've already pointed out, the definition of the star is most definitely an absolute meaning. It's not determined by our personal feelings. It's non-abstract. Regardless of which star meets the definition is what it is. She says, centered and visible, but only to the observers in the geographical area. Duh. That geographical area is the northern hemisphere, which is exactly what defines the North Star, a star that can be seen in the northern hemisphere as a pinpoint of light that every other star rotates around. Standing on a horizontal plane, you have in no way demonstrated that. And in fact, all the evidence you've given would contradict that statement.
Also keep in mind that the North Star does not move, so the people to the horizontal south of the equator, again, are not able to see the North Star because of its stationary position, which is perspectively over and centered above the northern half of our horizontal plane. In the same way that you cannot see the sun as it passes and get past the horizon or past your optical limitations, the same thing applies for the Northern Star. The people in the southern half of the world, of course, are too far from it to be able to see it. Eyes have limitations. Everyone within the optical zone of the North Star practically observes it positionally the same, because when you cross the equator, everybody in the northern half has to look in the same direction towards the north. So they're going to basically see that star apparently to be centered, which is why they call it the North Star. because it is north for them, but in the south, it isn't. So, again, everyone within the optical zone of the North Star practically observes it positionally the same. Majority, if not all, of the southern continents are outside of that optical zone. Hence the reason it was named the North Star. Arbitrarily.
Arbitrarily. I just had to give up. That's why that one I kind of let play towards the end there, because it just gets more and more gibberish. A lot of it's just her repeating herself. She keeps talking about the equator, but what would even create that point on the flat Earth? If it's a flat Earth, like, where is this line? The equator is the perpendicular, line through the Earth, or around the Earth, I should say, from the geographical North Pole, the center axis. So I don't know what it is. Maybe she's saying that maybe the flat Earth model rotates, but even then, I don't really know how that would work. But and if it is flat, if it is a flat plane, why suddenly would you be able to see the North Star when you cross this equator? She mentions the concept that it's an optical limitation, and that is entirely absurd. This one I am familiar with. A lot of flat earthers claim that the reason boats go over the horizon, the reason that we can't see the sun, and blah, 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 is this optical limitation that humans have, which is, for so many other reasons, absurd. One is that, humans, we have, obviously we have variations. Some people need glasses. It goes the other way. Some people have, like, quote unquote supervision. They can see much, much farther than the average person. And you don't see a variance between humans. You don't see a variance. Everybody says they see the sun go down when they see the sun go down in that location. Now, if you want to look at it, more scientifically, look at it from light's perspective, there are no optical limitations to light. Light travels at a constant velocity and direction until it's either absorbed or reflected. Okay, that's how we see things. Our eyes, photons, light hits our eyes, electromagnetic waves hits our eyes that have bounced off of other things, and that's why we see things. We see the color depending on what kind of light they reflect, blah, 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 blah. If a point of light were to move far enough away to not be seen with the naked eye, you would just use a telescope. That's what really a telescope is. A telescope's not so much of a magnifier. That's more of a result of what it does, because what it does is it gathers light. It's able to bring in way more light than the human eye can, and that allows us to see farther. So you would literally just be able to use a telescope to see the sun or a star, if that was the case, that somehow it was an optical limitation of the human eye. Even if the light scenario wasn't the case, then why is it that when anybody crosses from any location along the equator, they cross the equator into the northern hemisphere? Why isn't Polaris in a different position? On a flat Earth, Polaris would always be visible and would change position based on your position along the equator. So literally nothing makes sense with what she's saying. And as I thought, she in no way, shape, or form proved that north is up. North is a direction to a point. It doesn't change based on what hemisphere you were located in. Whether you can see that point or not, that's what geographical north is. That north is not arbitrary. The bottom line is she just doesn't understand what up is. Up is the direction that is the opposite of gravity. It has nothing to do with north. Ignoring topography, you do not need to increase your elevation to travel in any direction. If north were up as she describes it, it would serve no navigational function whatsoever. And the North Star has been used for centuries for navigation. So I guess that's it for her supposed argument. Nowhere in there did I see a properly structured one, which is why I brought that up in the beginning of my video. Her conclusion is that North is up. I think everybody gets that. But she offered no explicit premises to support that conclusion. I tried as best as I could. I really did. And the best that I could come up with was 3 premises. Premise 1 is that the North Star is arbitrary. That one wasn't too bad to get up. Premise 2 is that the North Star's north is different than the equator's north. Like I said, I struggled. Premise 3 is that optical limitations are why people in the southern hemisphere can't see the North Star. Now, even ignoring the fact that those premises are either patently false or just nonsensical, none of them would make the conclusion true. This lady she just pulls things out of her ass and thinks that she has some high level of intelligence, yet she can't even put together like a decent argument, or even structurally. Which, while a lot of flat earthers say some pretty crazy things, at least the structure of the argument is reasonable, and I could follow what it is that they're trying to say, and then we could actually debate the premises. And the truth is, she, in my opinion, she is a coward, hiding behind a keyboard, making these ignorant claims in an environment where she can get away with denying objective truths presented to her in lieu of alternative facts. I even went as far as offering her $1,000 either for herself or for a reputable charity of her choice if she would have a formal debate with me. Truth does not fear honest criticism, and ignorance must always be reasonably challenged. If she truly believed what she was saying and were not a coward, she should be more than willing to either make herself or a charity some money. That being said, I think we're just about done here. I really didn't want this channel to be about anything like this, as the little bit of content that I do have on here has been gaming and tech related. But this is the channel that I've been going back and forth with her on. In fact, I might even throw in some screen grabs of some of her comments too, because her comments are just as bizarre. I do have another channel called Project Objective that was actually intended for this kind of content. I was disappointed with my first video and I kind of abandoned it. But I'm going to post this over here too, and maybe I'll start making more. I think I have like 5 subscribers over there, but I threw this together really quickly, so I know it's not the greatest thing, but if you liked it, or if you have any feedback, just let me know, and maybe I'll make some more. So, peace.
Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking bite me. I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see.